Well, good evening. Welcome again to the 2012fad.com. I will be your host for this evening. My name's Charlie Bluehawk. Last night, we talked about are we the Matrix and the possible fact that you and I are actually inside right now, living inside of a machine. A living machine that we are all a part of, that we help power, and that our living minds back in the real world are actually part of the processor that makes this artificial world real. And how all of us are actually in college somewhere. We're 19 years old on average. And instead of studying in classrooms and reading books and talking to teachers, we're actually learning by living entire lifetimes in a single day. Can you imagine living a dozen lifetimes and still only being 19 years old? What you would know, the languages you would learn, the cultures you would absorb. I mean, that is truly a stunning concept if you really think about it. Obviously, something's gone wrong with the program, but we'll get into that some other time. Tonight, I thought we would chat about psychic super soldiers and empty cities. What on earth do those two things have in common? Well, let's see if we can put some pieces together. Psychic super soldiers are clones. They're artificial people, copies of people who may or may not have actually been real. They might be a compilation of any number of different people mixing and matching genes to come up with the right outcome, which of course is being psychic, being very strong, being resilient, being fairly intelligent. And then you take all these genes, you mix them in a beaker, and then you inject them into the wombs of women, which allows you then, as a clone, a baby, to be born into families that will guaranteed to be abused, raped, tortured. And childhood rape and torture is all part of basic CIA 101 trauma-based sex torture mind control projects such as MKUltra, Project Monarch, and Project Super Soldier. They have since advanced the Super Soldier project to a point where they can actually force grow a clone in 24 hours. Now, this is a clone whose DNA and RNA are so tailored that the DNA provides the building blocks, the structure, the blueprint for the body, whereas the RNA is actually real memory of whomever it is they cloned. And they can actually grow these super soldier clones in 24 hours. Whenever you hear of Delta Force or a Delta Commando, a Delta basically is a programmed killing machine, a meat robot. Try not to make them mad. I doubt they have much of a sense of humor. Anyway, as with all things CIA, there's always black magic involved. Part of the old black magic ritual that created clones, such as myself and others, there's a black magic ritual that goes with the implantation process where they take the clone cells to inject them into a woman who's already pregnant. Part of the black magic ritual is to butcher the fetus that's already in the womb, and then inject the new cells into the butchered fetus. It's quite horrifying, and I actually wrote about this in my books and other CIA black magic practices, standard procedures. It's a series of erotica horror novels called Coffee and Blood, Love Letters Between the Dead. This is obviously the plug for the day. Now you can buy Coffee and Blood, Love Letters Between the Dead on Amazon.com or go to our website, coffeeandblood.com. It's exactly how it sounds, coffeeandblood.com, one word. And you can read about, hopefully in a fictionalized sense, how the CIA has created psychic super soldiers and sex slaves, and some of the horrifying things they do to small children sometimes who aren't even born yet. And of course, money from the sales of the books of Coffee and Blood goes towards building the village. Anyway, sexual abuse, the rape, the torture of children, as I said, is standard CIA practice. Whether they're creating psychic super soldiers as slaves or sex slaves, to create a proper slave, a mind control slave, you actually have to destroy the mind, fragment the personalities, compartmentalize the psyches, as it were, and have them working against each other. And this is done through pain, torture, sexual abuse, rape, and horror. And it's all installed in the victims, sometimes before they're even born. And like all good programmed slaves, they are set to self-destruct, to kill themselves at the age of 30. My trigger didn't go until 31, and all it did to me was make me violently ill. And I spent the next 18 months every morning crawling into the bathroom on my hands and knees, sticking my head in the toilet and dry heaving, and then getting dressed and going to work. I think I worked at Disney Studios at the time. And worked at the Disney Studios, came home that evening, had dinner, watched TV, hoping to God my brain would just shut down. And then I go to bed and have the most horrifying dreams. And then wake up in the morning, remember what was done to me as a small child, and again, crawling on my hands and knees to the bathroom, stick my head in the toilet, and dry heaved. Did that for about 18 months. Realized I was really needed help. But we'll talk about that in another episode. So the CIA creates clones. The CIA then tortures these clones to make them soldiers or sex slaves. Well, soldiers, psychic soldiers in this case. And sadly, the CIA just is not very good at this. And so I, like all the other clones that I've encountered, created in the batch that I was from, we're all, disabled failures. None of us want to hurt anybody. Instead of listening to their commands from the CIA, we can actually hear the universe breathing around us. And we figured, well, doing violence is a bad thing. You really shouldn't do that. Makes the CIA really put out. But why psychic super soldiers? Why not just trained killing machines like they use the Deltas for? Deltas are meat robots. They are trained killing machines. Not even trained, they're programmed killing machines. So why psychic super soldiers? Now, some people believe that the CIA, the NSA, the DoD, all those spaghetti agencies have captured flying alien saucers, and the only people that can fly these flying saucers are psychics. Okay, I can buy that. I've watched enough sci-fi in my life. But why would a pilot for a flying saucer have to be a programmed killer as well, a soldier? Well, if we go back and remember what we have chatted about in previous episodes, that the great work of our masters includes calling back their god, Satan, to rule the earth, and that part of the black magic ritual, in order to call Satan back to earth, is to sacrifice all life on the face of the earth by burning the earth with their harp stations. And of course, these harp stations are now all over the world. Again, remember what just happened in Australia. And as I always say, you don't have to believe in Satan. You don't have to believe in God. Our masters believe in Satan. And let's face it, it's working for them. They have all the power, they have all the money, and they have us so stupid, so beaten, and so useless that they can do anything they want to us. So obviously the masters must be onto something. They must know something we don't. So anyway, our masters will use all these harp stations, High Atmospheric Auroral Research Project, which of course it's not. They're going to use these harp stations to burn the surface of the earth and all of us with it. And using fire to kill people is a particular favorite in black magic ritual. If you really want to learn about black magic rituals, the best place to start is go visit, as I always say, rense.com, R-E-N-S-E.com, and look up all the interviews that Jeff Rense has with a gentleman by the name of Tim Rifat, R-I-F-A-T. Mr. Rifat's an English gentleman. He is an expert in the black magic rituals that our masters practice, and he is someone you really need to listen to. Again, you come to me for fast food, you get 20 minutes of info a day, scares you to death, you can then go to work. When you go to rense.com and look at the website that Jeff Rense has created over the last Lord knows how many years, you're going to get a 4-year education. Just go there every day. You're going to get the who, what, where, when, why, and how down to the most minute detail. You will not miss anything. Fast food, you come to me. Real education, you go to rense.com. So anyway, after our masters perform their black magic ritual over our burnt corpses after they've used their harp stations to incinerate all life on the surface of the earth, their concept is that Satan will then return to earth and then takes the throne of the earth. Now, where Jesus or Buddha or Muhammad is at that moment, I have no idea. So what does all of that have to do with empty cities? I mean, what are empty cities anyway? Am I talking about towns that have been lived in and then abandoned because, there's no work, there's a recession, they close the factory? What? What is it? What's an empty city? The answer to all those questions is no. What I'm talking about are brand new state-of-the-art cities, especially in the Middle East and in Africa, that have been built by the masters for a very specific purpose. And I mean, these are luxury cities, shopping malls, nightclubs, parks, high-rise apartments. Everything is fully furnished. No expense has been spared. These things are like amazing. And they're completely empty. Never been lived in. Not one soul has ever lived in any of these mega cities. Brand new, empty. Now, do I mean that no one wants to live there? No. I mean that these amazing, modern, new, clean, sparkling, bright cities are not meant to be lived in. At least not by any of us. And as always, this is something you can check for yourselves. Go online and look for keywords like modern empty cities. I think one of them is called Sun City, and I think it's in Africa. But again, go look for yourself. A little intuitive thinking there, and you will find pictures and articles about these vast empty cities. I mean, I know a German family who came back from the Middle East with pictures of one of these cities completely empty. Modern, state-of-the-art, brand new, breathtaking, beautiful, empty. Why? Well, you see, as part of a black magic ritual to call forth demons, demons being living beings without bodies, and in this case, not nice folk, under the black magic ritual, you need to provide them with a physical space in which they can inhabit this world. A night, an apartment. Exactly. And of course, the more posh, the better, because you're trying to impress them. Because to call back Satan to sit on the throne of the earth, you need to make provisions for his servants. It seems that even Satan travels with an entourage. So in a black magic ritual, you must provide a physical home for the spirits, the demons, that service Satan to reside in. And as usual, when we talk about these things, it gets even more bizarre eventually. You then, after you provide the demons with a place to live, a posh, elegant apartment, you then have to provide them with a living body to inhabit, so they can experience this world, this reality, and all that goes with it. Seem that some of these demons have been without bodies for a long time, or they come from a totally different dimension, and only their spirits can travel here. And so they want to experience physical sensations that we take for granted. Now, of course, our friends at the CIA have ways of doing this. They've been, as I say, they've been making clones since the 1930s with the Star of David. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It would be King Solomon's seal. Yes, King Solomon's seal. I take that back. So they've been making clones with King Solomon's seal, his magic, since the 1930s. And it's very easy to make or grow a body without a consciousness, or if there is one, you can destroy it. They also make robots that look very, very human, also made out of meat, but actually are physically put together, which is sort of disgusting. So, again, what do psychic super soldiers and empty cities have to do with one another? Everything. The empty cities, worth billions and billions of dollars to build and even more to maintain, are deliberately kept empty. The super soldier who is psychic can sense the presence of and probably has defenses against demons, creatures without bodies that can nonetheless attack and kill the living. Which again, of course, gets us back to the great work. Now, the smart masters, as we've talked about in previous episodes, have gone into their underground cities, their megatropolises, with all their specially bred human slaves, and are preparing to incinerate the earth with the harp stations, during which time they'll perform the black magic ritual that will call their god back to the throne of earth. And all of this is going to be done before the dead brown dwarf star comes and flips the earth end for end, so they're probably really busy right now. In the meantime, the moron masters, whom we talked about before, are all starting a civil war on the surface of the earth in the United States, in the Middle East, and they're using Facebook and Twitter. Can you imagine? Social engineering sites actually socially engineering us. What a concept. So they're giving the cattle, you and me, the illusion that we are thinking for ourselves. All the while, they're robbing us of what little we have left in the world. And so the earth burns. 7 million cattle are incinerated, along with plants, animals, birds, trees, all of us burnt to death. At which point Satan sits in the throne of earth, while his demons inhabit human cities waiting for their final reward, living human bodies to inhabit. But what about the rest of the great work? Because according to the master's plan, Satan now has to be thrown down so that our masters can take his place, assume the throne of earth, and make themselves gods. Okay, so who's going to kill Satan? Right about now, you probably need a whole lot of, psychic super soldiers, humans, clones, who have been programmed to kill a god, while avoiding his demon army, which, if I'm guessing correctly, will actually be trapped in those really fancy brand new cities that were built just for them. Cities not built as homes, but instead cities built as traps for demons. How do you trap a demon? Well, you'd be surprised, but it is possible. Another time. And so that leaves poor old Satan alone and vulnerable. And with the harp shield still in place, theoretically, it might even trap the Prince of Darkness here on Earth too. And psychic super soldiers, I doubt we could do much to kill a god, but, what do the masters think? I have no idea. I don't know about you, but there does come a point in time, when you just don't want to think anymore. But what the heck? We'll try it all again tomorrow. Always enjoy chatting with y'all. So tomorrow, let's see what else we can figure out together. But, please, as always, have a plan. Whether it's surviving the dead brown dwarf star or surviving the Master's war against their own god, have a plan for yourself and for those that you love. And, of course, as you know, we here at the 2012 Fad, we have a plan, and it's called The Village. And if you happen to have lots of cash, you're welcome to join us, because, frankly, cash, and a little planning, is the only thing that's going to save us now. For all of us here at the 2012fad.com, this is Charlie Bluehawk, wishing you a really good day, and reminding you, please keep that one good thought.